to talk about Bishop Renison. He's a namesake of Renison College. Well, you might ask yourself, who is Bishop Renison? Next slide. Well, he was the Metropolitan of the Ecclesiastical Province of Ontario in the Anglican Church in Canada from 1952 to 1954. That was for 2 years. He was the Bishop of the Diocese of Moose-Mee. I don't know if you've seen that the mascot of Renison College is a moose, and that's why it's a moose, because he was the Bishop of Moose-Mee. He was the rector at St. Paul's Anglican Church, a very large Anglican church in downtown Toronto. He was very briefly the Bishop of the Diocese of Athabasca. And before that, rector, Christ Church Cathedral in Vancouver. His first job was rector of the Church of the Ascension in Hamilton, and he started off as a missionary in the Algoma region of Northern Ontario, that is far north in Ontario. And for a long time, for about 20 years, he wrote a religion column in the Globe and Mail. And he also wrote several books, including an autobiography. And this is a picture of him being installed as a Metropolitan of the Diocese of Ontario. That's a picture we have. He was installed at the Christ Church Cathedral in Hamilton. He had a strong affinity with Hamilton because he got married there, he met his wife there, he had his children there, and he started off as a rector there. Okay. And in case you don't know what the Anglican Church is, this is a flow chart that someone created of how Christianity works. And the Anglican Church, you can see here, branched off from the Roman Catholic Church when King Henry had an argument with the Pope, and the head of the Anglican Church is Archbishop of Canterbury. He is the head of the Anglican Communion, that is a worldwide body of the Anglican Church. Christianity is divided into Eastern Orthodox, Roman Catholic, Anglican, and Protestant. Anglicans sort of with the Protestant. And the Anglican Church in Canada is part of the Anglican Communion, and he was the Metropolitan of the Ecclesiastical Province of Ontario, which means that he was kind of the head bishop for all the bishops in that particular region. Okay. And this is a map of the diocese. He was Archbishop of Moose-Mee, which is part of the Ontario province, and up there are the provinces. And he was somewhat fluent in Cree, and one of his projects was to write a hymnal in the Cree syllabary, and we have this in the Florence Lee Timoy archives. And this is a copy of, he took sermon notes. Again, this is something that we have in the archives. This is a copy of the notes he took for his ordination ceremony. For someone else's ordination ceremony at Christ Church Cathedral in Vancouver. And this is a newspaper article when he was chosen to leave Athabasca and go to St. Paul's. And a picture of Archbishop Renison meeting with his MP for the Algoma region in Ontario when he became the Metropolitan. So his early life, he was born in Clonudi, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Clonudi and the County Tipperary in Ireland. His father was Reverend Canon Robert Renison. He was a priest in the Church of Ireland, which is the Anglican church in this country of Ireland. His mother was Mary Elizabeth Kennedy, who was born in the United States, who his father met when he was traveling in the States during his school years. He had two brothers, William and George, and two sisters, Julia and May, and I think May is also known as Mary. The family moved to Canada in 1880 so that Reverend Canon Robert Renison could be a missionary on the shores of Lake Nipigon. And all three brothers, Robert, John, George, and William, became Anglican or Episcopalian priests. That is the Anglican Church in the United States. And this is a picture that we have of Canon Robert Renison, his father. And this is, when you're searching someone's history, you can search the census. It's available through the Library of Congress, and you can see that in the 1991 census, the whole family was listed as living in the Algoma region. Robert John and his three brothers all attended Trinity College School in Port Hope, Ontario. And then Robert John attended the University of Toronto for English. He was a very gifted writer, and he received a divinity degree at Wycliffe College and a doctorate divinity degree at St. John's College in Winnipeg. And from 1897 to 1898, he ran away to Ireland to enroll in the Royal Enniskillen Fusiliers, and he under the name of Sergeant Patrick O'Reilly. And his father had to go back to Ireland and bring him back. And in 1899, he was finally ordained as a full priest in the Anglican Church and started working as a missionary in Algoma in the Moosonee Diocese. And we have a picture from the Trinity College yearbook of the football team in 1889 when he was a student, and he's right on the end there. And this is a picture of Sergeant Patrick O'Reilly with his father when they're over in Ireland, and his father went to extract him from the Royal Enniskillen Fusiliers. This is his certificate of ordination when he became a full priest in 1899. And so in 1914, he married Elizabeth Maud Bristol from Hamilton, a member of his church of the Church of the Ascension. During the war, he served as Anglican chaplain for the 21st Battalion Expeditionary Forces in World War II in France. And he had two sons, Robert John Bristol Renison and George Everett Bristol Renison. Bristol is from their mother's maiden name. And his son George was born while he was stationed overseas. And he died in Toronto on October 10th, 1957. This is a copy that we have of the wedding announcement in the Hamilton Spectator when they were married in 1914. And it's a little hard to read. It's quite old, but that's an interesting thing that we have in the library. This is his officer papers from World War I, where he was stationed while he was in the war. It shows his religion as clergyman. I don't know what that means. And the next slide. This is a letter his son wrote to his uncle. I thought this was kind of cute. His Uncle Everett, he says, "Uncle Everett, will you give me a dog?" My mom says, "I can have it." Love Bob. They wrote to his Uncle Everett Bristol on the Church of Ascension letterhead.
Take a red pen to that letter.
This is a picture of, this is Archbishop Renison. The medals that he's wearing are his war medals. His wife Elizabeth Maud Bristol Renison, George Everett Bristol Renison, and his wife, and Robert John Jr. and his wife. And this was at his installation ceremony in 1952 when he became the Metropolitan. And this is a picture of his son Robert when he came back from the war. He was kind of lost overseas, so his mother is kind of looking at him adoringly, and his father's, and the Archbishop is looking at him kind of ticked, like, why did you worry your mother so much? And also his mother's brother, Everett Bristol. And this is Bishop Renison wearing his bishop's robes. In 1941, he was a columnist for the Globe Mail, and he represented the Globe Mail with a number of journalists who visited London during World War II in 1941. And this is a picture of them on top of the London Press building. This is a letter that Colonel George Renison, his youngest son, sent during the Second World War. Again, we have this in the archives. This is the yearbook announcement that Colonel George Renison arrived back safely after the war. Go on. This is a booklet that that the bishop gave to the Diocese of Moosonee as a Christmas gift when he was taking over as bishop. And Mrs. Renison liked taking snapshots of the North. It's kind of pretty wild up there, and there's a lot of First Nations, and this is a beached whale. And I think some of the people that live up there at that time would eat whale meat. There they are in front of a twin propeller. Sometimes in the Algoma region it can be kind of hard to get around. The only way you can get around is taking a plane. And I think that's true even now. Some places are only accessible by plane. This is a snapshot that Mrs. Renison took when they were taking a trip on the Peace River just before he took the job as, Peace River is in Alberta, and this is just before he took the job in Toronto to be the rector at St. Paul's. And again, this is in St. Whitefish Lake, which is in the Peace River district. This is a picture of one of his parishioners in Toronto, and the little boy is his namesake. So, and this is another letter from George during the Second World War. During the Second World War, he often gave speeches in his army uniform from the First World War. This is a Remembrance Day ceremony, probably in the Moosonee Diocese. Again, a picture of Mr. and Mrs. Renison, him in his bishop's robes. And a picture of George Renison. And George Renison, at one time, he was actually the chancellor at Renison College. George Renison in his army uniform with his father, I think just before he went overseas, probably. This is Bishop Stoke, which is the official residence at the time for the Archbishop of Moosonee, for the Bishop of Moosonee, rather. This is a picture, at some point, I think 1948, Mrs. Renison and Bishop Renison went to Lambeth Palace. Lambeth Palace in England is the home of the Archbishop of Canterbury. I think she's right there. It's a little hard to go. And this is a picture of the clergy, and he's right at the front kind of on the other side. Here he is baptizing his one grandson, Robert John Renison, I think the third. And most of these, all of these photographs we actually have in the library, and you can find them and look at them. And there's all sorts of other stuff. He is installing a priest. He is confirming, he is with a confirmation class after he just conducted their confirmation ceremony. And there he is at the end of the installation ceremony in Hamilton, blessing the congregation. And this is an article about his retirement. And again, this is something else that we have in the library. And this is an obituary from the Trinity College School record, where he attended from 1888 to 1992. And again, from the Globe and Mail, where he was a writer for many, many years. And this is a picture of the old Renison College, when Renison College was first opened. And the lady on the right side is Mrs. Renison. And he died in 1957. The college was founded in 1959. So, and this is a ceremony for opening the Luxton building. And again, Mrs. Renison in the front, George Renison. So the Renison family was very involved with the college at the beginning. And this is Mrs. Renison. And the gentleman on the other side is Bishop Luxton, who is the bishop of the Huron Diocese, where the Renison College belongs. And the guy beside him, the taller gentleman, is one of the founders of Renison College, Reverend Appleyard, I believe. And this is Bishop Renison in the 1990s, about in his role as chancellor. He was chancellor from about 1986 to 1982 to 19. And this is the catalog for the archives, where you can find what we have in the archives that you can look at. And if you have any questions, my email is here. This is the website for the catalog. Our space, the presentation, and any notes that I have, any information I have, will be on our space. And you can always go to the library whenever you have questions, and everything that's found here is either in the library or at the Dana Porter Library. Okay.
Any questions? Want to ask Mary about Bishop Renison? Okay, not okay. Thank you so much, Mary. So Daniel,
Great job. I don't know if there's anything left for them.